Let's find the strongest attack in Pokemon, folks. There are many candidates, but I would like to narrow it down to just one. And here's what I'm going to do. I once made a video where I determined the strongest attack of every individual Pokemon type, so I'm just going to take that list of moves and rank them from worst to best. At the very bottom of the list I have Moonblast, which was my choice for the strongest Fairy type attack. This is an interesting case, because I think Fairy is probably the best type in Pokemon, but Fairy doesn't have too many broken attacks to its name. Moonblast is very good. It's an extremely good attack with 95 power, 100 accuracy, and a 30% chance to lower special attack. There's a lot to love about this move. A high secondary effect chance, consistent power and accuracy, very strong attack, but in the scheme of powerful Pokemon attacks, this is a lower end one. This has more in common with standard solid attacks like Ice Beam and Flamethrower than it does with the incredibly broken signature moves that I'm going to talk about later in this video. And don't get me wrong, I think Moonblast is a bit better than comparable moves like Ice Beam and Flamethrower and Thunderbolt, but still, I would put it at the bottom of the list here. I think there are much more powerful moves to come. Up next is Seed Flare. Seed Flare is the signature move of Shaymin, and it was my choice for the strongest grass type attack in the game. Seed Flare is a very good attack. It's a special attack with 120 power, 85 accuracy, and a 40% chance to lower the target's special defense by 2 stages. There's a lot to love about this. It is similar to moves like Hydro Pump with the high power at the cost of some accuracy. And this secondary effect means the move has outstanding breaking power. A 40% chance to occur is very high. And dropping a Pokemon's special defense by 2 can allow you to power through even the sturdiest of walls. Definitely a move that many grass-type special attackers wish that they had. Shaymin Sky can abuse the move even better with its Serene Grace ability to double that chance to 80% of lowering special defense by 2. However, even though this is the strongest grass-type attack in competitive singles in my opinion, I do think it has some drawbacks. The accuracy can be a problem, and the low PP of only 8 is another problem. And although 40% is a very high chance for a secondary effect, sometimes the secondary effect won't happen or you will miss, making the move a little bit inconsistent. Still an amazing move, of course. Many Pokemon wish they had this, but in the realm of amazing moves, I think there are better than this. I think there are even stronger moves. I think Shaymin itself is proof that just having access to this move probably won't be enough to push a Pokemon into viability single-handedly. Shaymin itself is not the greatest Pokemon of all time, even back in Gen 4 when it came out. It's not actually that fantastic in OU. The main reason to use it there is probably because of its access to Seed Flare. That does stand out, but there are stronger grass types in that format that just use more standard grass type special attacks like Energy Ball or Giga Drain and end up superior to Shaymin. I think that says something about the move being good, but not so good. It does not make Shaymin meaningfully better than similar Pokemon. Up next is Freeze Dry, which was my choice for the strongest ice-type attack in the game. Freeze Dry has a pretty incredible effect. It has 70 power and is a 100% accurate special attack, a lower than average power, but it has the effect of being super effective on water types, a rare move that modifies the type chart. Water usually resists ice, now it is weak to ice. This small difference is very significant. Water types are one of the most common answers to ice types, so to now hit them super effectively is a big deal, and ice, I think, is a good enough offensive type to manage despite the lower 70 power. Undoubtedly an amazing attack. And part of the reason Kyurem is such a powerful force is because it was given this move. When it received Freeze Dry, was a huge buff for it, and things that could previously answer it easily were now very frightened of it, and frightened of having their moisture siphoned by the freeze drying process. Very scary. A very frightening thing to happen to a blueberry, let alone a Pokemon. It is a bit contentious here whether this is better than Seed Flare or not. I think it's a bit better, even though the power is lacking. Hitting a whole other type super effectively, and it being such an important type, water, makes a huge difference. And I think that has a more demonstrably positive impact on a Pokemon's viability. Giving a Pokemon Freeze Dry, I think, enhances them more than giving a Pokemon Seed Flare in theory. And we've seen that happen with Kyurem. There were other factors that helped Kyurem, but giving it Freeze Dry was a significant buff, and we can see that directly. Up next is Body Press, which is my choice for the best fighting type attack in the game. And this is something I've changed my mind on since my last video on this topic. Because in my prior video, I chose Triple Arrows as the best fighting type attack in the game. And don't get me wrong, this is also a great move. Triple Arrows is the signature move of Hisuian Decidueye, and it has 90 power with 3 different secondary effects. It has a high crit rate, a 50% chance to drop defense, and a 30% flinch chance all in one. Definitely an amazing move, and one that many Pokemon wish they had. But I've changed my mind. I actually think Body Press is a better move, and that's because Body Press is able to turn defense into offense and allow you to double up on your stats in a way that is very powerful. Body Press has 80 base power and uses your defense stat in damage calculation instead of your attack stat. So you can max out your defense EVs, get all the benefit of that, defending you from physical attacks, and also use that as the value that determines how much damage you do with Body Press. This also allows defensive Pokemon to do way more damage than they should be able to. Even though the power is less and the move has no secondary effects, the ability to turn defense into an offensive stat is just an incredibly powerful concept, actually, and one that really changed the game when it came out in Gen 8. Access to this move is a big deal, and it can make or break a Pokemon. I think the impact of this attack is undeniable, and I would actually put it above Seed Flare and Freeze Dry both, which is a bold claim, but I think Body Press is a more impactful move. The fact that this can turn a passive Pokemon into a Pokemon that can deal serious damage is a huge deal, and fighting is a great offensive type too. That said, the move does have limitations. Often, it is going to be a Pokemon's main source of damage output, and when you are relying so heavily on just one type for your damage output, this can be limiting, as Ghost types are immune to fighting, and Fairy types and Flying types resist fighting. The problem of not having any coverage that also uses your defense stat is an issue, but it's an amazing move nonetheless. Up next is Rapid Spin, which is my choice for best normal type attack in the game, and this is another one that I've changed my mind on, because in my video I put forth that Population Bomb was the strongest normal type attack in the game, and this would seem to be a more flashy and powerful attack. This is the signature move of Mouse Hold. It has 20 power, 90% accuracy, and it hits 10 times. With each individual hit having its own miss chance, and if one of them misses, it cancels the whole rest of the move. So you just stop there and stop hitting additional times. Certainly a powerful move. If it hits the max amount of times, it has an effective power of 200, which is pretty insane. And with a Technician boost from Mousehold's ability Technician, that is boosted to 300. However, I think there are some limitations to this move. The fact that each individual hit has a mischance means that it's actually pretty unlikely that you get max damage out of this attack unless you're carrying the Wide Lens item to increase that accuracy, which is what Mousehold is sort of forced into running. 10 individual 10% accuracy checks will mean that this happens pretty frequently, that you miss in the middle of the move. Another thing is that each individual hit makes physical contact with the enemy, so this move has the limitation of being horrendous into Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet, Iron Barbs, etc., which are pretty common in competitive singles, and devastating for Mousehold whenever it faces off against them. Normal, also a bit limited as an offensive type. I don't know though. I think that Mousehold in particular gets a lot out of the Technician boost, boosting the power of the move. And even still, Mousehold has problems. It's not amazing or anything as a result of having this move. Yes, it's weak on the attack side, but I do feel this move is a bit limited, whereas Rapid Spin I would put forth as actually the best normal type attack, even though it's not as flashy as Population Bomb. I think that the utility of this move and the consistency of its importance is actually stronger. Rapid Spin is a utility attack with 50 power that will remove hazards from your side of the field, also remove effects like Leech Seed and Binding, but the hazards are the important part. And on top of that, it will also grant you +1 speed. I think this move just does so much in a single attack This used to be used when it only had 20 power and did not raise speed. They buffed it, and in its buff state, it's of course even better. But even just the effect of removing hazards is incredibly important. Many teams actually need this. It's imperative for them since hazards are so central to competitive singles. And access to this move is a very important factor in the viability of many Pokemon. For many generations, Excadrill was a premier choice, partly because of its access to Rapid Spin, which other similar Pokemon didn't have. In Gen 9, why is Great Tusk such a superstar? Primarily because of its access to Rapid Spin. This is what puts it above Landorus, Therian, and Gliscor on the usage stats, is because it has this move for that key hazard removal. And the speed boost on top of that means that even outside of the role of hazard removal, this move still has a use case and can actually be used for boost sweeping and as a win condition. It actually comes up pretty often that the Rapid Spin speed boost puts you in a very frightening position indeed to sweep the enemy. I'm sure some of you will disagree with me putting this above Population Bomb. Population Bomb is a much funnier attack where the whole family is involved in an absolute onslaught of damage against the opponent. And Mousehold is very inspirational, don't get me wrong. Mousehold, very inspirational Pokemon, upholding strong family values in trying times. But I do believe Rapid Spin is a higher impact move. It's arguably imperative utility to bring to a team, and it has a significant impact on a Pokemon's viability. Up next is U-Turn, which is my choice for the best bug-type attack in the game. This one was a no-brainer for me. There are some powerful bug moves, but U-Turn I think is by far the best and the most impactful on competitive. U-Turn is a simple move. It's a 70 power, 100% accurate bug-type physical attack that will switch you out after you damage the target. It's an attack that pivots you out, but this pivoting effect is so powerful that U-Turn has been one of the most used moves in competitive Pokemon ever since it was introduced in Gen 4. And the addition of this move was a massive paradigm shift for competitive singles. It changed everything. In a basic sense, just dealing damage and then switching out to a different thing to safety is making a little bit of progress safely. It's like a free little jab at the opponent that comes at limited risk. But also U-Turn is particularly great because it grants you information. Direct switching is the first thing that happens in a turn in Pokemon. It happens before any moves are executed. So, if you use U-Turn, you can respond to whether the opponent switches or not. And if they do switch, you can see exactly what they switched into and respond with exactly the right Pokemon for the matchup. This is why pivoting grants so much offensive momentum. It's dealing a bit of damage, jabbing them, but also you can just keep responding to whatever they switch to with psychic precision. You've seen what they've switched to already and you can respond accordingly. This gathering of information is extremely powerful. And even though this is a pretty widely distributed move, it is consistently shown to be one of the highest impact moves a Pokemon can have for their competitive viability. I mean, look at the box legendaries of Gen 9 as an example. One of their greatest traits is the fact that they have U-Turn and are very fast. That simple trait is incredible. And that's what's also great about U-Turn is whether you're an offensive Pokemon or a defensive Pokemon, it is amazing. Corviknight has U-Turn, and Corviknight is not exactly the most offensively threatening thing on the planet, but just the ability to switch into something so defensively strong with a Steel Flying typing and then just click U-Turn means you're going to take a hit and then pivot to something safely. That's another benefit of pivoting actually that I haven't even mentioned yet is the concept of slow pivoting. Corviknight can, for example, tank a close combat from Iron Valiant, tank that pretty well, not take so much damage, and then U-Turn to something that threatens Iron Valiant. And you have effectively switched in for free when you do that. Because hard switching to the other Pokemon would have been more dangerous as Iron Valiant would be attacking them. Corviknight has taken the damage itself and then slow pivoted out to the Pokemon very safely. Pivoting can grant safe entry points for your own Pokemon, give you information, while also dealing a little bit of chip damage. Now there are ways around U-Turn that have developed over the years, like contact punishing effects. This is why Rocky Helmet is so common, to punish things for clicking U-Turn, otherwise U-Turn would be completely free. At least the Rocky Helmet means that U-Turn comes at a bit of a cost. There's also Flame Body and Static that can punish U-Turn spam, but regardless, even with those effects being prominent in competitive singles, U-Turn is still incredibly strong, incredibly central, and one of the best moves of all time. Up next is Core Enforcer, which was my choice for strongest dragon type attack in the game. And this is a weird attack and a hard one to evaluate actually, because this is only on Zygarde. Zygarde is the only Pokemon that gets this, and Zygarde doesn't really use it very well. But in a vacuum, the move is very strong, and it does have a use in the balanced Hackmons tier. So that says something about the strength of the move if it's used in the format where you can use any move you want on any Pokemon. What the move does is it has a 100 power and a 100% accuracy. It's a special attack, and it will nullify the target's ability if they moved first in the turn. So the effect will only activate if they moved first, but if they do, you will disable their ability until they switch out. And I must note that this doesn't work if they switch in and then get attacked by Core Enforcer. They have to actually execute a move themselves first in the turn, then be hit by Core Enforcer, and then their ability will be disabled. So this would be a great move to use on a bulky attackers. It has a high power, and if the enemy moves first, they have their ability disabled, which has incredible effects, obviously. Abilities are a key part of the game. Disabling an ability has a massive impact, especially abilities like Poison Heal, Good as Gold, Magic Guard, Magic Bounce. There are some Pokemon that rely heavily on their abilities, and to disable them is actually one of the strongest effects possible. Now, what's awkward about this move in theory is that it is a bit conditional. You're not nullifying their ability every time. They have to move first, which is not always going to happen. This also gives them some counterplay to it. Also, being a dragon type attack, there is a key target that you're going to miss with this move, Clefable. Disabling Magic Guard on Clefable would be enormous, but it's not possible because the move won't hit Clefable. In general, dragon type attacks have the limitation of fairy types being immune, which is a problem. But still, I think even if the effect doesn't happen, the move is still very good and a step up from Dragon Pulse, which is used anyway. It's 100 power, 100 accuracy. That's on the level of Earthquake, which is very strong. And the added effect is pretty incredible and will probably come up often in games. It may not come up every time, but I'm sure it still will come up and still have a high impact. So I think it's a good move. We've never seen it actually used before. The only context where we've seen it used is balanced Hackmons, but I think that if, like, Goodra got this, Hisuian Goodra, for example, that would be quite good, wouldn't it? That would be a great Pokemon to abuse this. I think putting this above U-Turn and Rapid Spin makes sense. In theory, it just has such an amazing upside. With little downside, it just seems like an incredible move. And it is a bit difficult to compare it to moves like U-Turn and Rapid Spin, which just get consistent value and provide more than simply an attack. They provide momentum or hazard removal. But I would still give Core Enforcer some respect here. I think it sounds pretty outstanding in theory. Up next is Dire Claw, which was my choice for the best poison type attack in the game. And I'm talking here about pre-nerf Dire Claw, the one that's in Gen 9. I know they nerfed it in Champions, but in the 6v6 context in Gen 9, it is still in its pre-nerf state, of course. So I'm going to talk about it in such a state. Dire Claw is a diabolical move. It is an absurd move. This is an 80 power poison type attack with 100% accuracy and a 50% chance to inflict sleep, poison, or paralysis. Certainly an aptly named move, because if you are struck with this move, the consequences are dire for you. 50% is a very high chance to inflict a secondary effect on a move with a reasonable power, and the fact that the secondary effect is random is just sort of ridiculous design, but also, one of those effects being sleep is insane. Sleep is incredibly powerful. It's the most powerful status ailment that you can inflict consistently. Sleep prevents them from acting at all until they wake up, which is a random chance to occur. Putting an enemy to sleep has a massive impact. You're denying them their action, and you get free setup opportunities and a complete couple of safe turns as a result. The fact that a move like this can possibly inflict sleep is insane. And it's also insane that the other possible option of paralysis is in the mix, because paralysis also has a high impact, lowering a Pokemon's speed significantly and also introducing a chance of inaction, 25% chance to not be able to act due to paralysis. Poison is the lowest impact of the three options possible from Dire Claw, but you can't really complain about getting a poison either. this move will be hitting these status ailments constantly. You will be constantly applying status ailments to things, because 50% chance is really high. And 2 out of these 3 status ailments have a game-ending impact on the battle. Even the poison is pretty good. The poison could carry you. But paralysis, and in particular sleep, can just end a game on the spot on the right Pokemon. The only real thing holding this move back from being completely ridiculous is the fact that at least steel types are immune to it. That's true of all poison moves, but steel types being immune to this, and steel types being incredibly common, means that at least it's not completely ridiculous, but it is still quite ridiculous. The only Pokemon we've seen with this move is Sneasler, who is banned in Gen 9 OU for good reason. I think both offensively geared Pokemon and even defensive Pokemon could in theory abuse this move to ridiculous extents. Fundamentally a very strong move, with a secondary effect that feels illegal. And I suppose that's why they nerfed it. They realized they went too far. A very good nerf they did there. Up next is Oblivion Wing, which is the signature move of Yveltal, and my choice for the strongest flying type attack in the game. Oblivion Wing has an 80 power, 100% accuracy, and a impressive 75% draining effect. You will recover 75% of the damage you deal with Oblivion Wing. This is not only higher in base power than other comparable draining moves like Drain Punch or Giga Drain, but also the amount that you heal is 25% more than those moves. And I think what makes this even better is the fact that it is a flying type attack, and flying is such a good offensive type. Nothing is immune to flying. It's a great neutral and spammable type. And I think this move, if given to other flying type special attackers, would be a clear better option than the other things they have. Air Slash is one of them, which has 75 power and a flinch chance. Oblivion Wing destroys this. There's also Hurricane, which is commonly used. I think the fact that so many Pokemon use Hurricane speaks to the power of the flying type, because this is kind of an awkward move with only 70 accuracy, but the upside of hitting it and the strength of the flying type itself makes it worth running on a lot of different Pokemon, even outside of the Rain synergy. Zapdos uses it, Tornadus commonly uses it. But if anything that runs Hurricane commonly just had Oblivion Wing, I'm sure Oblivion Wing would quickly replace it. I think it would, even without the draining effect, to be honest. If it was just 80 power, 100 accuracy, that would still be quite good. But the draining effect on top is insane. That's a lot of healing. Can you imagine Zapdos healing all of its health back off Oblivion Wing? I shudder at the thought of Tornadus Therian with Oblivion Wing. That would be crazy. I think even non-flying Calm Mind sweepers would probably chuck Oblivion Wing on just for the healing, to be honest. The healing is so significant. A truly incredible move that you can see a Yveltal use to great effect in multiple Ubers formats, and that's a testament to its excellence. Would be a clear elite choice to anything else, if distributed to it. Up next is Lumina Crash, which is my choice for the best psychic type attack in the game. And this is another one I changed my mind on in my other video. I gave it to Esper Wing, which is also a good move. The signature move of Hisuian Braviary. And this move has 80 power with a 100% chance to raise speed by 1, and also a high crit rate on top. An extremely good move that many psychic types wish they had. The speed raise with a 100% chance to occur is insane, plus a high crit rate. But to be honest, I think that part of my choice for this one is that I had a bird bias towards Braviary, who I believe to be a brave and admirable bird when compared to Espathra, the emu creature, a vile creature that has caused much suffering to many people. And so I did not want to give Espathra its flowers. I wanted to deny this. I wanted to deny the truth. But I think that the unfortunate truth is that Lumina Crash, the signature move of Espathra the emu, is extremely good, and probably the best psychic type move in the game. Lumina Crash has 80 power, 100% accuracy as well, but it has a 100% chance to lower the target's special defense by 2. And I think the power of this is quite clear. This is one of the strongest wall-breaking moves in the game, in theory. Much like Seed Flare, the ability to lower their special defense significantly on hit can allow you to power through even some of the strongest special walls in the game. Even resistances, with each hit ramping in further and further damage. This move is absolutely insane, and the only thing holding it back is the fact that Psychic is not the best offensive type in the world. So Dark types are immune to it. which is a bad thing because dark types are very common. Other than that though, insane move. It does allow you to power through resistances very well, in theory, making it a pretty consistent option for a psychic type attack. I think that we can be thankful that this is only on the Emu, and that even though it's on the Emu, this guy didn't even use it all the time, more likely to use stored power, thanks to its Calm Mind and Speed Boost combo. But in a vacuum, probably the strongest psychic type attack here, and one of the best special attacks in the game, dare I say. Up next is Anchor Shot, which I'm ranking pretty highly here. I might be a bit off base with this one, but I do believe Anchor Shot is a move with a high potential. This is a steel type attack, and my choice for the best steel type attack in the game, exclusive to the Pokemon Delmise. It has 80 power, 100 accuracy, and the effect of trapping the opponent, preventing them from switching out. There are other moves in the game that have a trapping effect like this. Spirit Shackle is one of them, ghost type attack with the same effect, and so is Thousand Waves, which is a ground type attack with the same effect. But Anchor Shot stands out among them for the fact that nothing is actually immune to steel. So Anchor Shot can trap anything. Spirit Shackle can't trap normal types, Thousand Waves can't trap flying types or levitating Pokemon. Anchor Shot, on the other hand, can trap absolutely anything. So not only is it a solid attack in its own right with 80 power, it also just traps the enemy. Think of the potential this could have. I mean, we've seen what can happen with Mean Look in past gens, and that's a dedicated move slot just for the trapping effect. This is a good attack with Mean Look attached. Think about that. It's a whole other move shoved into this move, and it can't be stopped by Taunt. There are so many different ways that you can abuse trapping in Pokemon, and attaching a trapping effect to a solid move like this I think would enhance the consistency of such a trapping effect and takes away a bit of the commitment associated with it, because it's not as much of a waste of the move slot. It's doing two things at once. And for that reason, I think Anchor Shot has a high game-breaking potential. In fact, in the format Balanced Hackmons, Anchor Shot is a very common option for its ability to trap anything, and it has pretty incredible application there. You can even PP stall enemies completely, use them as setup fodder, whatever. Anchor Shot enables a lot of different things. And in fact, I actually think this is a move that might be banned if it was more widely distributed. It's only on Delmise, but imagine this on like Corviknight. Corviknight could probably PP stall a bunch of things with Anchor Shot. It might force Pokemon to run Shed Shell and be broken. Perhaps we can be thankful that this is not the reality we live in. Sort of an insane concept to shoot an anchor at somebody, and then I guess the anchor is so heavy that they can't move any longer and they're trapped there. Kind of a ridiculous thing to imagine playing out, but evidently one of the most devastating things that could possibly happen to a Pokemon is having an anchor weigh them down to such an extent. Oh, how terrifying. Up next is Stone Axe, my choice for the best rock-type attack in the game. Stone Axe is the signature move of Kleavor, and it has a very powerful effect. This is a 65 power move with a 90% accuracy that sets Stealth Rock on the field when used. This one is a no-brainer. Stealth Rock by itself is one of the best moves in the game, a powerful entry hazard that deals damage to the opponent, based on their rock weakness, up to 50% if they're ×4 weak. Incredibly impactful entry hazard, and I would say Stone Axe is a little bit better than just Stealth Rock by itself. The only drawback to it compared to normal Stealth Rock is the fact that it is 90% accurate. But other than that, it's all upside. This can't be affected by Taunt. Magic Bounce will not stop Stone Axe from being able to set hazards. And also, you're attacking at the same time. 65 power is nothing to sneeze at when the secondary effect is so incredible. Imagine Great Tusk having this. That would be insane. Not only would it be able to set Stealth Rock with this, it would be able to threaten Moltres and Zapdos significantly. Rock is a powerful type. Even a weaker rock attack like this one is still going to be useful for coverage. And the fact that every time you use it, it resets rocks, combines a bit of offense with one of the most powerful effects in the game. Now, even though Kleavor, who was the only Pokemon that gets it, is not very good, ranked in RU, I think that's more due to the weaknesses of Kleavor itself. It's a pretty weak Pokemon that's slow and easy to stop, easy to wall. But in a vacuum, you can't deny that Stone Axe is an insane move that most Pokemon would use if they had it, to be honest. Most Pokemon would get a lot out of this. Especially anything that already uses Stealth Rock. You could probably just replace Stealth Rock with Stone Axe and have that be a direct upgrade. Up next is Bolt Beak, which I believe to be the strongest electric type attack in the game. Bolt Beak is only usable on Arctozolt and Dracozolt, and the move has an 85 power, 100% accuracy, it's physical, and the power doubles if you move before the target. This effect is insane. It's actually a solid electric type physical attack to begin with, better than the majority of electric type attacks that physical electric types have access to. A lot of them are relying on Thunder Punch or Wild Charge, which are not very good. But the fact that if you outrun the target it doubles the power, up to a power of 170, is truly crazy. Especially because as an offensive Pokemon this is going to happen often, probably more often than not. And it also is worth noting that this activates when the opponent switches out as well. Them switching still counts as them moving second, and you get to benefit from that enormous 170 power. By sheer power alone, I think this is one of the strongest attacks ever. Who wouldn't use this for coverage or stab? What physical attacker would not love Bolt Beak? Electric is a great offensive type. A lot of Pokemon just use Thunder Punch purely for electric coverage, it's useful. Bolt Beak is a million times better than a mere Thunder Punch. A clear choice for one of the strongest attacks in the game, I think. The only real detriment to it is that it's not so spammable because ground types are immune to electric. This is the folly of electric types in general, is that ground types shut them down so significantly and are such a common type. But other than that, an insane move. Up next is Torch Song, my choice for the best fire type attack in the game. Torch Song is the signature move of Zygarde. It has 80 power, 100% accuracy, and a 100% chance to raise your special attack by 1 stage. Torch Song is also a sound-based move, meaning it will go through Substitute. To put Torch Song above Bolt Beak is perhaps controversial. Bolt Beak does have a much higher immediate power, but I think Torch Song is just an incredible attack. It's not that much weaker than Flamethrower, and the effect is about 1,000,000 times better. This deals good damage and raises your special attack at the same time. It allows you to ramp and boost yourself up. It's better than Lumina Crash, which lowers special defense, because you get to keep the offenses whether they're in on the same Pokemon or not. And it's much more difficult to avoid this ramping effect. It's only available on Zygarde, but Zygarde uses it to great effect and has historically gotten a lot out of Torch Song. It's pretty incredible to have a boosting move and a good fire stab option in one. But you can imagine Moltres with Torch Song or Volcarona with Torch Song. Any half-decent fire type special attacker would just go crazy with this move. Even a non-fire type would. Anything would love this move. Fire coverage is sought after, and fire coverage that ramps your stats as well. It's incredible. I also think it being a fire move is part of the excellence here, because fire is such a great offensive type, so very few things are immune to it. It's so spammable. It's so easy for this to ramp to absurdity. Much more so than Lumina Crash, which is stopped by dark types, or Bolt Beak, which is stopped by ground types. Some things are immune to fire, but not that many. Torch Song is an incredibly self-sufficient, spammable, high-power, excellent move all around. Up next is Ceaseless Edge. I am ranking Ceaseless Edge very high here. This is my choice for the best Dark-type attack in the game. And boy am I giving this immense respect, but I believe Ceaseless Edge deserves it. I think this move is absolutely insane. Ceaseless Edge is the signature move of Hisuian Samurott. It is a 65 power Dark-type physical attack with 90 accuracy that sets a layer of spikes on the field when used. This is very comparable to Stone Axe, which sets Stealth Rock on the field, but I think where Ceaseless Edge feels better is the fact that multiple uses of Ceaseless Edge will stack layers of spikes, up to 3 layers, making the move more desirable to spam repeatedly. Much like Stealth Rock, Spikes are one of the strongest moves in competitive Pokemon. In fact, a lot of people think Spikes is a better move than Stealth Rock in Gen 9, because many of the things weak to Rock run boots anyway, so Spikes ends up having more impact and being a stronger thing to stack up. It also helps that Goldengo is in the game and can block hazard removal very effectively, making Spikes even more powerful. Also, this is a Dark type move, and Dark is also a very spammable type. Nothing is immune to Dark, and it's neutral does many things, as well as hitting Ghosts and Psychics super effectively. We also have evidence that this move can single-handedly make an average Pokemon insane. It's Hisuian Samurott. I mean, Hisuian Samurott, by all accounts, is not that crazy. The stats are pretty bad for Gen 9 standards. And yet it's ranked OU. And it's one of the most popular Pokemon in Gen 9 OU, pretty much purely because it has Ceaseless Edge. This move is that good. You lead with this guy, you're spamming a Dark-type attack that deals good damage, and also sets spikes. It's a recipe for success. It's just a powerful concept to deal damage and set spikes at the same time. Now, it's worth factoring in that Hisuian Samurott has Sharpness, which makes the move more powerful. This is another factor as to why Hisuian Samurott's good, because the Ceaseless Edge does more damage. But I think, honestly, the strength of the move itself is the main thing that we can credit to Hisuian Samurott's success here. And Hisuian Samurott's base attack is not that crazy. Imagine Weavile with this. Imagine any physical attacker with a higher attack stat, honestly. With this move, it would be crazy. It would act as dark coverage as well as hazards. That's an unbelievable amount of roll compression in one move, and it is literally enough to amplify this Pokemon to competitive viability. Significantly so. In fact, it's one of the clearest examples of that, I think. Up next is Thousand Arrows, my choice for the best ground-type attack in the game, and one that I'm ranking very high here, but I think Thousand Arrows really deserves it, and is a game-breaking move. Thousand Arrows is the signature move of Zygarde. It has a 90 power, 100% accuracy, physical, and it has the unbelievable effect of being able to hit flying types despite being a ground type attack. Your first hit against a flying type will be neutral, but then you will actually ground the opponent and remove their flying typing or levitation and hit them as if they don't have flying typing at all from then on. So this move is kind of game breaking, actually, because part of the balance of the ground type is the fact that it's insanely good offensively, hitting so many different things super effectively, but it can't hit flying types. Flying types are really common, levitating Pokemon are really common, so ground has this clear counterplay to it that is extremely prevalent. To erase that counterplay makes ground by far the best type in the game. If you were to just erase the ability to levitate and the flying typing is immune to ground, ground would be ridiculous. But that's what this move does. That's literally what this move does. And it is ridiculous. It's slightly less power than Earthquake, but that's a very small price to pay to be able to bypass the one thing keeping ground type from being overpowered. And so ground type does become overpowered with this move. Zygarde uses it, and Zygarde doesn't need any other moves. It can just run Thousand Arrows, because who needs another type when you have ground with no drawbacks? Yes, some types are resistant to ground, but that's hardly that much of a problem when ground has so many other incredible advantages. Obviously, any physical attacker at all would love this move. Especially ground types, but even non-ground types love having Earthquake. Having Earthquake literally makes or breaks your role as a physical attacker much of the time. It is the difference between great Pokemon and nobodies. Thousand Arrows is even better. It's an even better move, and is part of the reason that Zygarde is such an incredible Pokemon. Up next is Vicious Rend, my choice for the best water-type attack in the game. Vicious Rend was infamously used on Dracovish, and it has the same effect as Bolt Beak, but it's a water-type attack. There's 85 power, 100 accuracy, and the power doubles if you move first before the target, or if they switch. And for the same reasons as Bolt Beak, this is insane off raw power alone. It hits 170 base power very easily. It is not difficult to activate the effect. Offensive Pokemon tend to outrun things. This is easy to achieve, and the sheer power of this is ludicrous. But also, water is a far better and more spammable offensive type than electric is, to the point where you can rely purely on this for your damage if you have it. There are few things in the game immune to water. Water Absorb and Storm Drain are abilities, but no type is immune. There's a couple of Pokemon with water immune abilities, and that's it. Beyond that, Vicious Rend is insanely spammable, and it helps that you can utilize a Rain team to enhance the water type damage even further, and spam this move even further. That's already basically the strategy of Rain teams, is to set Rain and run a bunch of water types to spam water moves. If any of those Pokemon got Vicious Rend, they would use it, and they would be ridiculous. There is, of course, the Dracovish example, where Vicious Rend was single-handedly so insane on it that it got the whole Pokemon banned to Uber. And it's worth noting that Strong Jaw was a factor here, which boosts the power of the move even further. And Dracovish is far better than Arctovish, who has the same move. But still, I think that you can give this move some serious credit for being ridiculous on its own merits without the Strong Jaw boost. And you can imagine just about any physical attacker in the world getting a serious amount of mileage out of this move if it was available. I mean, 170 power is a ludicrous amount of power. You aren't supposed to achieve such power. It's not supposed to be possible. And even at the worst of times, it's equal to the already standard water stab of liquidation. So it's not like it's much of a drawback either. It's always at least a good water attack, but it often will have the effect of just having the most power you've ever seen, 170 power. A truly insane move that they clearly designed for these weaker Pokemon, the Gen 8 fossils, which are not the most impressive stats-wise. But in a vacuum, you can imagine these moves being completely ridiculous on the right Pokemon, or just about on any half-decent Pokemon, to be honest. Even Basculin, or something. If Basculin had Fishious Rend, I think that would be a significant deal. And finally, the best attack in the whole Pokemon series, in my opinion, for competitive singles, and my choice for the best Ghost-type attack in the game, Last Respects. Last Respects is a move so powerful that it is banned from Ubers, which is not something that I think has ever happened for an attack before. And that says a lot about how good it was, especially when you factor in the quality of the Pokemon that have access to it. Last Respects is a Ghost-type physical attack that starts at 50 base power, has 100 accuracy, and it gains 50 base power for each party member that has fainted. If your whole team has fainted, this achieves a power of 300. 300 power! This amount of power is so ludicrous that even if you resist the hit, it's like taking a 150 power move, which is already way higher than most moves in the game. This is significantly higher than even Fishious Rend can achieve or Boltbeak can achieve, and those are already ludicrously high. Yes, it requires your whole team to be fainted, but honestly, this move is so good that you would sometimes literally sack your whole team just for the Last Respect sweep because it was that insane. There is of course a limitation, that is the fact that normal types are immune to Ghost, but frankly in Gen 9 normal types are not that great, and there's a solid chance that the team you're facing will just not have a normal type. This is a common occurrence. Basculegion was the best Last Respects abuser, thanks to its Ghost Stab and ability Swift Swim, granting double speed in the rain. Basculegion could also use Adaptability to just increase the stab damage on Last Respects for an even more ludicrous amount of power and damage output. And this was sincerely one-shotting the strongest legendaries in the game and just sweeping whole teams. A little fish was single-handedly clearing entire teams of the strongest legendaries in the world. But even if it wasn't Basculegion, it would have been Houndstone, the next best one. Houndstone, a Ghost type with Sand Rush and Last Respects. Same deal, you literally just one-shot everything no matter what's in front of you. The power is that ludicrous. Even Basculin could have used this. Honestly, even Smeargle could maybe justify using this too. The reason the move was banned is because the move was the part that was broken. It almost didn't matter what Pokemon was using it. The move was so ludicrous, had such a high base power, that your stats stop mattering, your traits as a Pokemon stop mattering, and you are just a Last Respects merchant, and you exist to click the move, and that's that. Easily the strongest attack we have ever seen in the context of competitive singles. Of course, it's uniquely broken in 6v6 because there's 5 allies that can faint, whereas in official formats it's far less powerful. But even in those formats, Basculegion is currently very dominant in Pokemon Champions doubles, thanks to Last Respects, which can hit up to 150 power pretty consistently. And even 150 power on a Ghost move is considerable there. So imagine it in the context where it can hit 300. It's just stupid, frankly. It's stupid. This concludes my ranking of the best attack of every type, and the winner of the question posed in the video title is Last Respects, which is the best Ghost type attack in the game, and the best attack in all of Pokemon. Thank you for watching to the end. You have been visited by the mysterious penguin, and you must answer his riddle. Please put your response to the riddle in the comments down below, and you'd better hope for your own sake that your answer is correct, or there will be consequences. Thank you.